Hey, we're on to the fifth track in the Last Night Was Movie Scene EP, and it's called You. We'll get it started here. So, the intro to the track is pretty simple. It starts off with two synths, and I had to mute them and bounce them because my CPU was being overloaded. Over here, we have a massive preset, and I just found it in a big bank of presets. I'm using Kickstart to automate sidechain, and I'm also using some EQ to sculpt a little bit of the sound. And this is what it sounds like down here. This is just the bounced audio. I just automated some EQ to bring it up to the chorus. Now the second synth we're using in the intro is a Spire synth, and it was a simple one oscillator synth, saw wave, and the rest happens within the effects. So here I use Tremolator from Sound Toys, and I have the default setting on. I just put the depth to max, and the rhythm is a 16th note. Valhalla Room, fully wet, a lot of high in the sound. The decay is all the way at the bottom, and there's no depth to the sound. The pre-delay stays the same. So this sound, I took out a lot of the sound, and I just wanted to get a little bit of the waviness from the tremolo, sorry. And that's all we did with that. We used a little bit of micro shift to spread the sound. It's a vintage widener. And then Pan Man from Sound Toys again. It's just panning it hard left, hard right, really fast. So it gave it a cool movement to the sound. And this is what it sounds like. As for the effects coming in, I just used a little impact, and again I bounced all my effects together. So an impact right there, and then an upshifter to lead right into the chorus. So this is the intro to the chorus, or the chorus. So here we introduce the kick and the snare. The kick was a Lex Luger kick from Splice, and here we just use Pro Q2 to shape some of the sound, take out the high, and take out some of the mids. Softens up the kick a little bit. The snare here, a great sound. I believe it's also from the Lex Luger kit, and RC48 is the reverb that I use. It's an amazing plugin by Native Instruments. I highly recommend looking into it. I don't know too much about it. I just know that turning on the mix and setting up the settings here just make it sound great and mold it into the mix a lot better than other reverbs that I've used. So definitely check it out. It's a great synth. It's a great VST. Down here, we're using hats, and again I bounced them out altogether to lessen the CPU usage. So just some drum loops from Splice. All these hats down here just set up in a certain variation, and together they just sound obviously like this. I use a shaker here, and it is from Logic. Logic loops tend to be really useful, so I recommend if you're using Logic, check them out. And if you have a Mac and you're not using Logic, you're using Ableton, I highly recommend maybe even looking into Logic for the mere point of its loops. The loops are amazing that you can get with it. Down here, we have the bass. So it's a warm saw bass, and I've achieved this sound using Synplant by Sonic Charge. Here, I set up a certain set of parameters. I changed them up a bit. This looks really confusing, but it's pretty simple. Over here, they just use the same terms that you'd see on a synth, like the sustain, the attack, everything that you'd want from a synth. It just looks different because it's a DNA strip. And yeah, so I made this sound. The cool thing about Sonic Charge Synplant is you can randomize presets. So I just randomized it, found a sound I liked, and then I put some effects on it. So I used single EQ here to take out some of the highs. I used a burn ollie drive preset from Sonic Charge's Permutate, and it's an effect board. It's an analog effect board that just makes sounds really different. It modulates things off of these parameters, and it does it automatically, so it's constantly moving and making the sound different. Without this effect, the sound is really soft. With it, adds a lot of width to the sound. After that, just use some more EQ and a noise gate. So something that I tend to do is I'll use a noise gate instead of a compressor to sidechain sounds. So you'll have a gate set up here, and then you'll just click Ducker, and then if this is not open, you can find your audio to sidechain it to, or your instrument, and I chose my drum kit too, and then I just set up some settings accordingly. So that's the first bass. Second bass, down here, comes in right around 25 region. And then it comes in more to this section here. So it's a very gritty bass, and it's from Contact. And I don't have the preset set up because I don't have my drive in there, but it was a Contact preset. I believe it was number 7 from the output Contact library called Substance. It's an amazing library. I'll link it down below. Really worth putting the money into and investing in. So now we have the synths. Again, same from before. The only difference here is we are using a new synth, and it's a Contact library output synth. Analog strings, monk vowels. So number 280, if you have that library, that's where it'll be. And again, I just bounced it out. Extremely airy on the preset itself. I just added some Valhalla vintage verb, and it just makes the sound continue off into the next piece. Over here, same synth that we let in with. Yeah, and then the stutter synth. There's one other thing that came in on this side, which was some more effects. A siren. Just some background atmospheric effects. And then over here, just another. As the kick drum sort of changes up, I had something lead in. It was a reverse clap, and it just helps continue with movement on in the track. So then over here, we come to the pre-chorus. And this is when the new bass is introduced. Nothing changed, just the new bass was added in, and it just helps add more tension to the next chorus. And you can hear from this chorus compared to the first one, this one has a lot more energy. So as you can hear from the first chorus, we've progressed to a new and heavier chorus on the second time around. Just helps add progression to the track to make things move. So over here after this, same chorus as the first one, just a copy and paste. Except over here, we lead out with an effect to introduce the bridge into the final chorus. So we have, I called it Mr. Robotic, and it was a synplant preset that I randomized. Again, the settings, have no clue what I did to it. I just found the sound through randomizing it, and it sounded great. It fit the track. So the MIDI in here was copy and pasted. The only thing that changes up is right here. I added a harmony as compared to here. And that was that on the, so it was on the 1 of the next section, the downbeat, and it just helped add a little bit more something to the track. Harmonies I like to use a lot because they can change up a singular sound, but without changing the actual melody. You're just adding something to help move it in a different direction. Then here the synths come back in. And my CPU is still a little crap, but drums come in this time around. Then over here we have an effect. The only thing different here was that this time around, leading into the final chorus, actually we may have done it before. No, so this time hats lead you into the chorus. You can hear them ride in, and a good thing to know is that you don't necessarily need effects to lead into choruses or new sections. You can always use automated drums, you could use openness, you could use empty space. There's just a lot of things you can do to introduce new parts into a track that aren't just a sweep or a rise or something like that. So the final chorus again just follows the same as the other two. That's it for you. Overall, it didn't reach more than, what is that, including the stereo out, that's 35 tracks. Wasn't too crazy track-wise, pretty simple, but the track itself came out really well, and again, Braden destroyed it on the vocals. So that's everything for you, and we'll get on to the next track, which is the final track of the EP, and that's called Touch. Thank you so much. Peace.